in India Council. I welcome you all for the session on Posh Act. It's a very pleasant afternoon here in Pune. I hope it's the same for you all. I thank each and every one of you for being a part of the session. On behalf of Women Laws in India Council, I extend a very warm welcome to our speaker, Ms. Janani Jayakumar, Vice President, Anti-Sexual Harassment Council, Karnataka. Welcome, Janani. It's an honor to welcome Ms. Shikha Arora, National President of WLIC.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
Ms. Hemangi, President of JCI, Pune Chapter. A special thanks to Ms. Deepa Ma'am, President of Anti-Sexual Harassment Council, Karnataka, for sending her best wishes to us. And it's my privilege to welcome all the participants who are attending the session. We are very happy to have your presence. Once again, welcome you all for the session. Thank you.
So, before we start, Janani, can I ask if it is feasible? Can I ask all of you to just open up your cameras and let me see, especially Mangi? Let us see you. And if it is feasible, yeah, thank you, Preeta. See, I understand this might be a little difficult, might not be in a very convenient place, but yeah, whomsoever can, please do. It'll be easy for the speaker also to relate and to understand if you are actually getting, otherwise she'll keep on talking. So session should not be like that. The session should be a little interactive. We should have questions in between. We should question her. Why is it? Right, Janani?
Yeah, very much. Thank you so much.
Though we'll have a question. Hi, Mangi. How are you? Great to see you online. So Himangi is the president of Pune chapter in JCI, and she also runs Ladies Council. So that's a new thing
Nice.
for JCI this year. So both of us are from the same federation, which is JCI, Junior Chambers International. So I was the previous VP training, and she's the president, current president.
Okay.
Welcome, Himangi.
Thank you so much.
And
Yeah, I'm looking forward this session.
Sure. We have a lot of things to do further also. And all right, thank you. Preja is again Wiki member, right?
Yes, she's from Marti.
Welcome,
We
Preja.
have Shobna ma'am, Aparna, and Shumo
Shobna
also
ma'am,
was there.
welcome.
I think she just left.
Then we have Aparna also from your thing. And who else is there from Aparna?
Aparna is
Yeah,
there.
nice to see you. Yeah, so everybody's smiling. Yeah, it's a beautiful afternoon. All right. Then we have who else? We have
Okay.
Bhuvneshwari. Can you see? Yeah.
We have Soumya Nagraj from Coimbatore. She's from SR Foundations,
Right.
SR Techs. And we have
Hello.
Ratna Ramesh. She's a practitioner, yoga practitioner.
Oh, welcome. How are you?
And
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, all right.
Nice to meet you all.
All right, then we have around, I think we are 12.
and we have Uday Kumar. We have
Yes,
Revati.
yes, Revati is here. Yeah, of course, Revati is here. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Nice. Right. So, shall we start, Janani?
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
So I'll take it.
We'll start with a small introduction on Janani.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Janani is a co-founder and managing of Vital Partners People Solutions, and she's got 15 plus years experience in corporate world also, and she has been training people under Posh Act for many years, and she's a certified Posh enabler, and from We Legal recognized by the government of India on the impartment of Posh training. And she has facilitated more than 8,000 students across all colleges, and she has many employees in different organizations under the Posh Act. So we are very lucky to have her here with us for the session.
It's my privilege. Thank you, Bhuvneshwari and team. So can I start with the presentation? Is it allowed for me?
You can start with the presentation. Everybody can pin Janani's screen so that you can view the presentation on a larger screen.
Okay. Please confirm, Bhuneshwari, you're able to see my slideshow screen?
Yes, I'm able to.
Okay, great. So thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. We from Karnataka Anti-Sexual Harassment Council is privileged to collaborate with WICCI Law Council, and I think this is our first session, and this council is also in the privilege of forming, creating, and all that. We have successfully completed 1 year of our tenure, and it has been extended by WICCI for the next 1 year. So we have a fantastic team who does drives things all over from the beginning. So from last October we have been doing. So Prija ma'am started the whole thing. We delivered a POXO session with TVS Academy for Hosur, and from there on we have not stopped. It has been every month 2 or 3 sessions we have been doing every month, and even last month we had our team both online and offline sessions now after COVID has opened up and all that. So our team is there on the ground. We go to a lot of government schools and places where they don't have the resources to pull in people. So we volunteer ourselves and spread the awareness on various laws, not only Posh. This was specifically requested for Posh, so we are only restricting to Posh. But other places we talk about all the laws, which is there for women empowerment. And we also have a small booklet being printed from our council, which has been distributed, which has got all the helplines, and it has got both with, because we are doing it for the Karnataka state, it is both. Thank you, Aparna. She's just there anytime. So you can see Aparna's screen. So that is a small booklet which has got all the synopsis of most of the laws with the helpline numbers. So which is very handy. She's just helping us out. So we have been giving this to all the places wherever we drop in, so that this is very useful for the people whom we are addressing. Even if they miss something, the helpline numbers helps them to reach out in case of any emergency. Yeah. Thank you so much, Aparna. So we are back to our session. So I'm here. Thanks, Bhuvneshwari, for this wonderful opportunity. So we will start with the Posh Act. So before that, this is our council's vision and mission. Just thought of sharing it because we both are in the same line. We both are together working to make this place a safe place for both women and children. So I thought we should share it as a sister council. We would like to share this with your council too. I'm sure you have a one to follow. But this is our Karnataka Anti-Sexual Harassment Council's vision and mission to make this place a lovely place, peaceful and harmonious place to live in. Yeah. So the next slide has got a small video just to set the tone for the whole context. Please on your speakers too. Is it audible?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Great. Thanks.
Yes, it is.
रविवार की सुबह या मंगलवार या बुधवार रोज की कहानी है। मैं अपना काम कर रही थी। अरे बीवी, एक गिलास पानी तो पीने दे। और तभी साहब को प्यास लगी। और भाई, पानी पीने का असली मजा तो शेल्फ में ऊपर रखे हुए ग्लास से ही आता है। वहाँ लखनऊ में आज की दोपहर थोड़ी अलग है। क्या बात है डिम्पल जी, आजकल आपके गाल जो है ना वो टमाटर की तरह लाल लाल हो गए हैं। वैसे पिंक ड्रेस में आपको देखकर ना दिल खुश हो गया। आप एक काम करो, आप हमारे दिल का ख्याल रखें, हम आपकी प्रमोशन का ख्याल रखें। अजय, नौकरी इनकी बदौलत है तो इतना बोलने का आप तो बनता है ना। और ये देखिए, आज की शाम इस छोटी सी गांव में कितनी खूबसूरत है इन जनाब के लिए। अरे बहुत मेहनत करती है तू। घर से काम बंद कर दूंगा तेरा। और और दूसरे ठेकेदार का भी काम नहीं मिलेगा।
पूरा दिन इतनी लगन से मेहनत करती हूँ तो लाला जी सराहना तो करेंगे ही ना। आप सोच रहे होंगे ना ये सब मैं आपको क्यों बता रही हूँ, क्योंकि कभी किसी को बताने की हिम्मत नहीं होती। अगर हिम्मत करके बता भी दूं तो कोई विश्वास नहीं करता, और अगर कोई विश्वास कर भी ले तो साथ नहीं देता।
एक सुरक्षित कार्यस्थल हर महिला का अधिकार है और हम सबकी जिम्मेदारी। इन्हें हिम्मत दें, इन पर विश्वास करें, इनका साथ दें।
I hope this video has given us a context. It is there in three different contexts what we have picturized. Before that, I wanted to first share or ask a few responses. What is it you expect from the session? So because we have already have some fixed road path, but I would like to, because I have just given this video so that it will set the context. It can be anywhere, these kind of scenes can happen anywhere in our corporate life, or it can be in a bus, or it can be in like a housemaid. For them this is a workplace, right? So this can happen anywhere. So we have something for you as a structure, but I would like to first touch upon one or 2 points. What does that you expect from the session, so that we make sure that that is also involved. A quick responses would help us, to diverge from here. You can unmute and then talk, or you can put it in the chat. Yes, Himangi.
Hello. Yeah,
Yes.
ma'am. So just one thing I would like to say here. Many people are aware about laws, but we as women don't have courage to speak up, sometimes. So how to build that confidence wherein we can come and speak up about all of this?
Okay. That is a wonderful question. We will.
It's a
look over it.
social stigma. What people will think of us. So how to break out that social, that point of view? Kya sochenge? What will they think about us, and how will they treat us? Because always we are considered as a victims. So
Okay.
So how to come out of that stigma?
Okay.
Yeah,
Anything
and come
else?
out of guilt. How to come out of guilt that this has happened to us.
Okay. So this has happened to me. How will I talk? Whom to approach? Where to go? These are the things which taunt us, right? So this is a basic thing for which we are doing all this awareness and all that, right? Like people who are educated like us, who can log in and attend an online session. We are talking about the elite group, but we are also talking about people who are not able to talk about this, or who are not even able to do a helpline number, dial a helpline number, right? So we are trying to see everybody across the sectors. And for the Posh, when we talk about the Posh, it is only for the workplace which has been covered, right? So what is the plan for the next few minutes is for us is, we will first try to understand what is sexual harassment. People assume when we talk about sexual harassment, it is physical, or which is which has gone to a certain extent, and then only that is considered as sexual harassment. No. So we will see what is sexual harassment, so that we know first what is happening in and around us, right? And few key definitions. It's not going to be law class, don't worry. We are trying to understand, or demnify. We are going to break the law to understand the concept, so that when we are aware of things, we are bold enough to talk about it. We know whom to approach, where to go, how to talk. We can break the bias, or we can break that myth. If I go and talk, I will be first called as a problem maker. So it is not so. So those are the things which we are going to see, and we are also going to see to whom, there is a committee which has been formed. When we say workplace, there is a committee. Okay, if I am only working in a very small shop, like 2-3 people only there, but still am I covered under the law? Yes. Then whom to approach? Then there is another local committee which is there to protect us. So we will talk about who is that, and from the organization or from the lawmakers, how do they take steps to protect us? So these are the things which we are going to see. And of course, if something happens after all this, where do I complain, how I complain, and what is the time frame you have to break this whole process. So all I expect from you is, I know I'm talking to a system, but I'm seeing so many people. So nice of you to on your cameras. Just in case if you have any queries, please feel free to stop me once my flow is done. We'll be happy to clarify any of your doubts. Right. So first, let's understand why it is important for me. Like, so as an individual, first of all, if we know as Janani, as Bhuvneshwari, as Preeta, as Archana, why should I first of all know all this? Then it becomes easier for me. What is it for me is more important to gain more importance, right? To understand it better. So, first of all, it is a legal framework which is gone in our country. So now that everybody knows that if we go to a work, then PF, ESA is being covered and it is used for their retirement, during their retirement time. So they know that these are the insurance which is covered, but they don't know what is the law which is governing them to be safe in the workplace, right? So as an individual, if I know, for example, if my maid knows, these are the things which is there, if maybe she's safe in my my home, but if she goes to other house and she may come across these kind of harassments as very common. You saw in one of the video, it can happen even in a boardroom or in a house or in a corporate sector or in a garment industry. You will never know where it can happen, right? So if I'm aware of it, then there is a way out of it. So it is a legal framework, and of course you should know which is right and which is wrong, where to approach, whom to approach. And the last but not the least, this is very very important for me and also for my team will vouch: facilitate and guide the vulnerable. Nowadays kids are very very vulnerable. If you see any newspaper, these are the kids, because they are very innocent, they don't know whether whatever happening to them is right or wrong. So only when we are strong, when we know something, we can share things or share knowledge with others, right? So if as women or as a family member, if we are aware of things, we can share this knowledge to our kids or to our people who are around. I'm sure people who are here, if I'm not addressing just 15 or 20 people, this is going to be multiplied, right? Even if even if 5 or 6 of you going to talk about this to the next 3 or 4 people, it's going to multiply. So the knowledge sharing doesn't stop here. So if you could get the essence of the session, I'm sure you can talk about this to 4 or 5 people and they can again spread the word, right? So this is the main aim or vision for our team, to spread the awareness. So once people know, hey, this is wrong, they are able to talk about it, then our goal is satisfied, right? So, and as an employee, of course, we are all working in a very, very inclusive workplaces. We are talking about, it's not just about gender, it's about the race, where they're coming, about their background, everything matters. So, we are all working in a very inclusive workplace. So, we need to respect each other at the same time, get the work done, the same time, have a very inclusive and a holistic workplace. So, for which we need to know a line which is acceptable, which is not acceptable behaviors, which is a professional behavior. It doesn't mean that you need to be very very rigid, not friendly and all that. You can still be friendly, at the same time you know your limits. You should be able to compliment, at the same time it should not be like a reason to pull along the conversation. You should be able to communicate, you should be able to talk, you should be able to get the work done, but doesn't mean that you need to keep disturbing the person in a not professional work hours, like maybe after 8:39. If it is not important, it can still wait, right? So you need to know small things which is like acceptable and not acceptable behaviors. If you are aware of it, then it is very easy to create a very inclusive and a gender sensitive workplace. So these are the things which we wanted you to observe things so that you can share the knowledge with others, right? So this law, if you see, any of you can, I mean, other than the people who are into the this law background, any idea which year this law came into existence? We have so many people, so just taking a guess if somebody has done some homework.
2013.
2013.
Okay, thank you, Himangi. I hope you're not from a law background. Yeah. Okay. So this law came into existence in 2013, right? But before that also, for example, I'm sure most of you would have started your career before that, right? I started my career in 2006. Okay. So this is the act which has come only in 2013. So we are trying to understand why there was a new law when things are going well, right? So the main intentions of the new law, you know, is because the punishments are not sufficient for the crime, okay, or there's a different patterns of crime develops. For example, before we for theft, there were a lot of theft, right? But most of it were robbery, or it was a physical theft. But nowadays the theft has become a very high-fi. You sit in a place and you can hack any of the accounts and all that. So when there is a new kind of patterns develop, the law also have to update themselves, the law legal system also. So that is why there was a need, when there was a lot of crime developing, there was a lot of harassment cases reported in workplace. The lawmakers assume that, okay, this is, we need something to create exclusively for workplace. And again, for Posh Act, there is a history. We will also see that. This is the background of the Posh law. Why are we talking about this? You need to know from where it all started, right? So suddenly it didn't come sprout in 2013. In fact, it has got a very, very long history. In the year 1997, this Vishaka guide, the whole thing started. But the actual background of it started with Banwari Devi. She's a social worker. So in 1992, in the village of Rajasthan, there was a social worker. She was a part of an NGO who was driving a lot of social initiatives. So one such initiative was to eradicate child marriage. So she was in the process of it, for which she was gang raped by a family or by the society members who were who felt that she has barged into their rights. So she tried stopping a child marriage of 9-month old infant, for which she was devastated. The law system, then the police or the law system could not help them. They were not helping them. And then Vishaka is the NGO which came to help her, and that is why it is called as Vishaka guidelines. So from then on, the lawmakers made a guidelines. It is again not a actual law. Okay, it was just a guidelines, like how for COVID we have this COVID guidelines, right? So like that, there was a guideline which was framed, which was issued to all the establishments to follow. It has a very, very basic guidelines. Again, this did not serve the purpose. Again, we had a new version of Banwari Devi case. I'm sure most of you know about this Nirbhaya case. Again, it was a new version of Banwari Devi case. And then the lawmakers and the social media team was already up, and then it gave birth to our Posh Act. So this act came in the year 2013, December 9. From then on, there is no turning back. All the establishment were made it statutory to follow Posh law. Okay, so we have so many special features of Posh law, which also we will see, so that we will understand what is so special about Posh law, right? So to be very precise, sexual harassment of women at workplace. So every word of it has got its own meanings. Okay, so when we say women, it is not a normal the dictionary word which we use. The lawmakers have made it so broad that most of them would be covered. So we will see in the next 2 3 slides. So it has got two major intention. It does not have a list of things to what was objective. Only two things. So the Posh law says any women, okay, who comes to work should not be sexually harassed. For that matter, any harassment, but Posh law talks only about the sexual harassment. So any woman whoever is coming for work should be free from all these fears. They should be free from, they know that can put their heart and soul in their work. They can show their creativity. They can put their hard work, and there is somebody or there is a law which is protecting them, right? So that is one. Number two is it is a constitutional right of any woman, right? When we're talking about constitutional right, right to dignity, the fundamental right of living equality. So when we talk again equality, now we are talking about equity, okay? But when we started this Posh Act, we were talking about equality, no discrimination in terms of any kind of caste or sex or anything. There should not be any discrimination. So that is the major objective of this Posh law. What is I was talking about the special features, right? The one thing which has got a special feature of Posh law is when you give a complaint under Posh law, there is a strict time frame which is monitored. Okay, so when we go to a police station and give a complaint in IPC, yes, we can still do. And the same harassment or same case can be filed simultaneously under Posh if it happens in the workplace and under the IPC. But under Posh, we have a time frame. Every stage there is a time frame which has to be strictly followed, otherwise the lawmakers can question the organization, right? So that is a very distinguished feature, what comparing to other laws. And other different silent features is it has been covered pan India, cross India, irrespective of number of employees, okay, irrespective of your demography, wherever it is, irrespective of your how many are male employees, how many are female employees. I'm not worried about that. So even if I'm entrepreneur, even I have two freelance trainers or freelance recruiters I have, even still my organization is covered under the Posh law. So it means even the shops, any kind of small establishments like supermarket or even a community, registered community. So everything is covered under the Posh law. And it is only for women when we are talking right now. But at the same time, when we say some organizations, the employer has got the rights to make it gender neutral. So when we say gender neutral, the Posh law can be the people can give a complaint under the Posh law. However, when it goes out of the organization, it is only for women as of now. And for students, for example, they come for interns, right? So in that case, both the gender can give under the Posh law. And as I already said, IPC also simultaneously the complaint can be taken, and the settlement can be done only by the victim. In case there is a TIF or there is a case which has been registered, so only the settlement initiative can be done only from the victim side and not from the perpetrator. So till now, you have any doubts, I'll be happy to think. We are going into the actual session of few definitions which we will be talking about. We'll first try to understand what is sexual harassment, how you can identify, I can go on. If there is any other question, we can stop here and ask.
Yeah, ma'am, I just have one question. In the previous slide, the last point which was mentioned, like settlement can be done only by victim. Can you please elaborate more on that? Like, why was that statement written? Like,
Okay.
what can be
Sure.
other options?
I can explain it there. See, for example, there is a case. I have filed a case against Mr. X, right? So there is a case. Then both the parties are called. Even in the workplace, both the parties are first the complaint is taken, and then the information is being given to the respondent. We call the person who is against the complaint is given as the respondent. So if the respondent also comes and maybe sometimes it is not a consciously they don't wanted to hurt, but it has happened some case. So in that particular case, it has been spoken like conciliation. We say, we talk about the problem. This is what has happened. So in that case, now I understand that it was not genuinely, it was not meant to be hurt, but it has happened. The particular situation has happened. Okay, for example, I've got some text messages. Okay, so now I've gone and complained against Mr. X, and now he says, sorry, it was meant to certain person, it was without my knowledge I have sent it, or something like that. So I feel, okay, it was genuine and it has happened only once, it has never happened and all that. If I feel, okay, maybe it is genuinely, he didn't consciously send it to me, but it has been sent to somebody else whom they have a very good relationship, whatever. So in that case, only I can say that, okay, fine, I will drop out of this case, this is settled. He cannot say, no, this is not my intention. So let's talk out and sort this issue. This settlement thing is only with the victim, only with the person who has raised the complaint, and not with the person. They don't have an option of, respondent doesn't have an option of coming back and saying the settlement. Is that am I able to clarify the doubt?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, great.
Yes, thank you.
So the next what we are talking about is we are trying to understand what is sexual harassment. So when we talk about this sexual harassment, people assume it is only physical, right? So it is not physical alone. So that is what we are trying to say. Anything, these are like a thumb rules. Anything which is making me uncomfortable, which is making me unwelcoming behavior, right? So it can be physical, of course, it can be verbal or non-verbal. When I'm sure you will be able to understand verbal, we call people by nicknames, or we call them, or we curse them, or we call I have few examples which can explain you better. Non-verbal, I don't even have to talk. My gestures, or my the sound what I make, or the way I look at, where I look at, right? So these are the things which may still be an harassment. Okay, and it is reportable. And cybercrime has become a worst thing in this in this cyber world. Unnecessary messages, pornography, or nude pictures. It can, you don't even have to see the person, you don't even know the person, but still you are being harassed, right? So these are all things which will come under the sexual harassment at workplaces. So it is not about the intention, it is about the impact. Sorry. So even if I don't wanted to hurt somebody, but my behavior, or the way I talk, or the way I look, or the way I stand, or the way I even dress up, if it's going to hurt somebody, then it is going to come under this sexual harassment. Few more examples also have demanding of sexual favors. This happens in one of the video which we saw. He says very subtly, you're looking like your cheeks is like a rose, and you take care of me and I will take care of your promotion. It is like demanding sexual favors. It, and then the other one also, we saw one more situation. He threatens her, by holding her hand when she shows her not interested, kind of thing. He says, I will pull you out of the job, and I will make sure the other contractors also doesn't give you the job. It's like a blackmailing, right? So he is demanding favors. So everything it can be a small a touch and feel, or it can be the high level sexual favors. Everything will come under the same heading of sexual harassment. There is no big or a small harassment, everything come under it. And showing pornography, obviously it also comes under the sending us somebody uncomfortable messages, or jokes. These are all is making an impact on other person, right? So these all will come under sexual harassment. And few examples which is there, I'm sure all of you are able to see. These also will come under sexual harassment. These are all few examples which I'm giving out. Gazing at a wrong place, yeah, at uncomfortable places, looking long, or giving an eye contact, or making your winking of lips. everything will come under body shaming, abusing your power, using your power for projects, for granting any special permissions. Everything will come under the sexual harassment. You don't have to literally. Physical harassment doesn't mean that, sexual harassment doesn't mean the physical alone. That is what we are trying to make you understand. Calling people by pet names, right? It is a workplace. You need to know you can still be friendly. At the same time, you need to know where to draw the line. Calling people, or calling people by their uncomfortable words like baby or darling and all that in a workplace is not acceptable. Even their orientation, how they walk, how they talk, some may be Tommy, it is okay. It is all there perfectly okay when they are fine with their kind of behaviors. Winking lips, even making a sound, kissing sounds. So these are all comes under a sexual harassment. Of course, physical attack and rape, um, there is no question about it. So everything comes under the. So these are all few examples. If you have any doubt, we can still talk about it. So to bucketize, how, see, again, we cannot put everything, every single situations in the slide, right? So to bucketize the behavior or the feelings, how you feel. For example, to getting into a meeting room or getting into a particular team for any discussions, I feel very uncomfortable. Every time when I go into that place, I feel like, I'm fearful, or I'm fear of people will talk about me like this or that, or I feel that somebody is overbossing me. So if we could sensitize our feelings or our understand what is happening around us into unwelcoming and welcoming behavior, I've just put something, few feelers here. Then you can understand why it is happening. Then you think through it, and then you understand, okay, maybe because of this, maybe because of this particular person always, making me target or making me use of this kind of situations. He's using his power to make advantage. Then you try to understand. So it cannot be a template. So that's what we are trying to say. So you will have to decide based on the situation, and then you will have to bucketize. So these are all unwelcoming behavior, these are all welcoming behavior. Based on your feelings, you can bucketize, and then think about the situation much better. So I hope we have covered about the sexual harassment, how to identify. The thing what we are next seeing is under the law, when we talk about women, okay, so we may understand as a women employees, we should not go by the fact that, okay, I'm not a full-term employee, I'm just an intern, I'm just a consultant, whether will I be covered, you need to know, right? So when we talk about the law, Posh law has made it so broad, it has tried to cover whatever possible ways of covering people inside this law. So it can be a full-time employee, it can be a contractual labor, it can be a housekeeping person, security, or even a trainees, or even visitors like interviewers. For example, I have a company and there is a person who's coming for attending interview, right? Even that particular person is being harassed on that particular day, then she can give a complaint under the Posh Act, right? So even a day, like even I'm a freelancer, okay, I'm getting into a company for that particular training, for a training session. Even I feel that I'm being harassed on that particular day, I'm under covered under the Posh law of that particular company, right? So everyone who is working directly or indirectly, women employees will be covered under the Posh Act. And when we say interns, and interns means students, in respect to both the genders are covered under the Posh Act. Okay, so we are trying to see break the law into pieces. So sexual harassment of women we have covered at workplace. So we are going to see the other, what is workplace, right? Okay. So any space for that matter, it doesn't mean before we had a very fixed restricted place for workplace. Now it is not so. Wherever the women goes for delivering their duties, for as a employee of that particular organization, it is called as workplace. So maybe I'm an employee, I'm going to a bank to deposit something on behalf of my organization, or I'm going to PF office for a inquiry, or I'm going to hospital, for a discussion. I'm from HR, so I'm going to a hospital for talking about some, employee related checkup. Anywhere where I go in terms of work will be considered as a workplace for me, right? So it can be, it can be even a sports activity. I'm representing my organization and going for a annual event, or I'm representing and going as a customer to my client place. Everything will be covered as a workplace, so you don't have to restrict that. Okay, today I'm just going out for the, though I'm going for a work, but I'm going out of the office. If something happens there, whether I will be covered under the Posh Act? Yes, you will be covered even if you're working from home. During this COVID time, we thought that this kind of harassment cases will reduce, but actually no. We had lot of cases which is booked even during the COVID time, right? So even when you're working from home, if you are being harassed by a person, across, you will be still be protected under the Posh Act. Okay. So people ask me, when I'm working from home, who is going to harass me, right? So it can happen anytime, right? Anywhere, anytime, however, because we are working with people whom sometimes we know, sometimes we don't know when we are working from home, through net, through this video calls, Teams meeting, and all that. Okay, so we give you few tips. I'm sure most of you are employed and you have you have so many virtual calls which is happening. Make sure when you fix up timings, you late hours, you take the consent from the person. And when we ask people to, it is a video call, please give them a heads up before, if it is going to be a mandatory video call. For example, if it is an interview, right, it is assumed that interview for which at least the person who's giving the interview is supposed to be in the video. But it is always better to give them a heads up. You need, this is a compulsory one, we are talking to this particular person, we request you to be on a video. So if it is recorded, I think, your president gave me a heads up that this meeting is being recorded. So this has to be informed. If it is not informed, then I can anytime, file a case saying that, I was in a meeting and without my knowledge. Nowadays in the Zoom and all that, there is a inbuilt thing. When you enter and the meeting is recorded, it asks you that this meeting is recorded. If you still wanted to continue, if you don't want to continue, you always have an option to exit, right? So these are the things. Now it has all come as a inbuilt behavior, inbuilt system, as a modern thing. And never share any of the public meetings in the public. For example, even when we made the flyer, I requested, Bhuvneshwari said to say, you can have a flyer, but please don't put the link. That is one important tip our president always says. Whenever we have any meetings, we only prepare the flyer. People who are interested, they will have to message separately any particular person. The organizer will share the details. Okay, so you can be sure who is in your meeting. There's no person who is just walking and sabotage our purpose of this meeting, right? So in the same way, don't share any meetings in public, the links, unless until you wanted a massive and you have a good control of the crowd, right? And otherwise, a few other things is, I'm sure the virtual meetings, you take care of your posture, professional body language, all that. I'm sure these are all things which is now become a part and parcel of your work culture. So we were talking about two, three things to quickly renew. Sexual harassment, we were trying to understand. We also spoke about who under the law is covered as women. And then we also spoke about, workplace. And the last important thing is relationship. So if I'm going to have a problem at home with my neighbor, I cannot come under give complaint under the Posh Act, right? So that has to be with a IPC, where I have to go and give up a complaint in my police station. Okay, so this Posh Act covers only when there is a problem in the workplace. Okay, and I have a professional relationship. When I have a relationship, it doesn't mean that it has to be a immediate supervisor or the boss or something like that. It can be anybody with whom you have a working relationship. For example, I am a freelancer. I get into an organization for delivering a training session. So that particular day, whomever I'm talking, I'm a client for them, or I'm a guest, a professional guest for them, right? So I still have a working relationship. So that is what we're talking about, working relationship. So it can be your co-workers, team members, or a mentor mentee, or a freelancer and company. It can be anybody, right? So to summarize, when you can give a Posh complaint, a complainant must be a woman. And of course, as I said, if the company has got a gender neutral policy, then it can cover both, and student. An incident should be workplace. When we talk about workplace, now we have a very broader understanding on the workplace. So it is not just restricted the four walls of your office, and there should be a working relationship, right? So when we say working relationship, uh, we already gave you a few examples, and then the behavior should be only categorized under sexual harassment. See, there are other work kind of harassment, like workplace harassment, in terms of race, in terms of their background and all that. So that can be handled separately by the HR department with whatever heading they have, like grievance handling or HR department, or any other committee they have. Anything related to sexual harassment alone will be handled by the Posh Act, right? So these are the things which, when we try to understand. So to be very very precise, we tell the employees, or we tell our friends, or any of your colleague, if you're not feeling any comfortable, with your colleague, with the way they talk, the way they see, it is better to speak up. We tell our kids that this is good touch, this is a bad touch. They're all 3 4 years old, and I'm sure we're all adults. We will be able to identify a person's behavior, or with the intention, if there's a good intention or a bad intention in two or three kind of interactions. So in that case, you can still speak up and say, hey, I'm not comfortable the way you talk, or the way you call me like this. If we speak up, half the problem is solved in the first go. Okay, if we try to avoid, or if we try to ignore and move on, people may assume that we are enjoying it or we are liking it, and then it continues, and then over a period of time there is a list of things happen, and then when you show your non-acceptance, then it becomes a big thing. So if you feel uncomfortable, you can speak up in one or two instances, and then most of the time, people also change over, right? They all try their luck. If we're going to turn over and give a strange look, or if we talk about it at the first go, most of the problems get solved there, right? So no is one word which can never be misunderstood. So if you're not interested, speak up loud, and then there is a possibility of most of the incidences getting filtered there, right? So now that we have spoken a lot on the to understand what is sexual harassment, all that, these are the two forms which is people have bucketized to understand, is it happening to me, right? So for example, in the video which we saw, right, these both the forms of harassment has been happened, right? One is a quid pro. What is quid pro is, like, it's like a give and take. You do this, I do it for you. You be in a favor of my request, then there is something coming up with you. Okay, so that's why we say anything which is coming free, or anything which is coming easy in your way, is not going to exist. Either you have a bomber behind, or there is again a big request or something which you have to reciprocate, right? So that is why we say, be very cautious when something is coming free. Please don't accept, and then go by your gut feeling. Next one is a hostile environment. The last the farm example you can see, they create a place when you are not obliging with the request. They create a place, hostile environment, like maybe they spread rumors, or they make sure that you're bombarded with work, or there is no work given to you, so that you can't prove your hard working. So both ways it is not acceptable, right? We are coming here to work, We wanted to prove our best, whatever we could do, we wanted to prove it, and then move on to next level, right? So they create a hostile environment. So these are the pointers which the lawmakers have given to you to identify whether you are undergoing, something similar to that. This will help you to make sure that you take a back seat and then you think and reflect. Okay, so I think I've spoken so much. I have got a couple of examples here, so I wanted you to just go through it. Somebody could read it out for me. Anybody could just read it out.
Yes, I'll do it. Hamza and Milan work in an accounting firm. Hamza reports to Milan in the office. He often asks Hamza to go out for a dinner, movie after the office hours, but hesitantly Hamza declines him. One day, Milan tells Hamza that if she doesn't agree on his offer this time, her increment would not be approved by him. Is this an act of sexual harassment?
For you to think, this is a small thing which can happen anywhere. um, I'm sure you could even recollect in your own workplace, maybe in a different, little more different manner, right? So whether this comes under the harassment, sexual harassment. Yes, no.
I think so. No?
Yes, Mangi, you wanted to say?
I'm saying yes.
Yes, okay. Anybody else has got a different opinion? Okay, so this will come under sexual harassment because he's trying to threaten her to come out with him. If not, the increment will not be approved by him. So what has got increment to do with going out with a dinner, right? So it is like again now he's trying to force based on his misusing his power, right? So this is one of the example. This is again somebody else can read it out for me,
Yeah, I can read it.
please.
Number 2, Arjun and Monica are part of a project team in R&D department. They both report to their senior, Mr. Malik. Seeing the hard work and efficiency of Monica, she is selected as a core member of another prestigious project. Arjun, Arjun, being senior and more experienced than Monica, didn't like this. So he started spreading fake rumors about some relationship between Malik and Monica. This word slowly spreads out in the whole organization. Will this be counted as sexual harassment?
Yes, any answers?
Yeah, I feel so.
Okay, what is he trying to do?
Spreading bad rumors about
So he's trying to
Monica.
create a hostile environment because he didn't get the project. So he's unnecessarily trying to, defame somebody, right? So again, spreading rumors is not okay against us and the person. So this will also come under SH. This is the last example. Anyone else would like to read?
Yeah, I'll do it. Number 3, Anita sent some pictures of a negligibly dressed women to Karthik. Karthik replied her to stop sending and never send such pictures ever again. But Anita kept repeating it. Is this a case of sexual harassment?
Yes, I'm looking at answers.
Definitely, it is a sexual harassment.
Definitely, it is just a straight case. Just that maybe sometimes it was not intentional. So she is first saying that please stop sending these kind of messages, but it has been repeated. So it means that it is sent intentionally. So obviously, then it has comes under the harassment. So now that we have seen what are the what are the things which will come under the Posh Act. Now the lawmakers have given the whole responsibility to the organization. When we say organization, the employer, right? So the employer has got the complete responsibility of their employees to keep them safe in their workplace. So what are the things that they do on behalf of to keep the place safe place or a conducive workplace? Is they have given it under three headings. That is the act itself is sexual harassment of women at workplace, prevention, prohibition, and redressal. Right. So this is the three important subheadings with which the act itself moves forward. So what are the preventive measures they can take? So this is only all examples. It depends on the organization to organization, but in terms of in general, what the law suggests is to have policy, to have an IC. Okay, this IC is mandatory when you have 10 or more employees. Okay, so this point is we need to be very clear. When I said initially it is covered to all the organization, Posh law is covered. Yes, even if I had to have two people, I'm still covered under the Posh law. But to have an IC members, to IC team, if I have 10 or more than 10 employees, then I have the statutory requirement to have my own IC team. Okay, so that is the clear differentiation which I would like to state here, because there is always a confusion. People assume, okay, I don't have 10 employees, so I don't have to be covered under the Posh Act. No, Posh is covered to every organization irrespective of number of employees. But the IC committee has to be formed only if I have 10 or more than 10 employees. Okay. So we'll talk a little more on this IC. See, why we will talk more on IC is when we say the lawmakers, who's the lawmakers? There is a constitution, there's a law being formed, the lawmakers, the lawyers, the court, everything will come under that. Okay, but when we say employer, the employer is responsible, then there is a IC team which is formed exclusively to manage any of these kind of issues arising for on behalf of the Posh. So that is called as IC, internal committee. Okay, so there is a guidelines to form an IC, and there is a members constitution is there, which we will talk about. So prohibition, when we talk about every critical employee meeting, this has to be spoken loud, like how we talk about our goals, right? For example, this year, this is a number which we are reflecting, we keep on repeating it so that all the employees from the board level to the shop floor, people are aligned with the organization goals and responsibilities. So likewise, in every critical meeting, this has to be said that this place is zero tolerance to any kind of harassment, right? So if we keep on repeating it, so it comes from the board to the senior management, then to the team level, and then to the shop floor employees, and then to the contractual employees, to everybody. Okay, so the team culture or the organization culture is set from top to bottom, right? So again, when we talk about IC committee, as I said, 10 employees or more, there should be an internal committee within the organization, which should have minimum of 4 people. One is the presiding officer, who must be a women senior employee, and then 2 employees that can be men or women, and then one external member who is a part of an NGO or a person who is familiar with the issues relating to these kind of SH. So when we say the 4, the law constitutes that 50% should be women as a part of the internal committee. Okay, so this is the constitution of internal committee. These committee members are handpicked, and they have their own duties and responsibilities which has to be followed. Okay, so what if I have less than 10 employees in my organization? So where do my employees, or where will I go if in case of any other problem, is what is called as local committee. Okay, so this is constituted by district collector. So these are the members who will be forming a part of the local committee. Again, it has got minimum 5 members. One person, the presiding officer, will be a senior women officer from the legal department. One municipality member, one again from an NGO, and then 2 members will be from an external side. So this is a local committee which is formed. Every district collectorate office will have a local committee where we can go and approach in case if we don't have any of the in our organization we don't have a internal committee. Okay, so what are the duties when we say internal committee? Okay, they are formed, so what do they do? So they are responsible to drive the whole the posh related activities. In case of any inquiries comes up, they will be the person who will be conducting the inquiry. They will be the people who will create awareness. They will be the person who will be updating and keeping the policy updated, spreading this information to all the employees, everything. So when we say the management has decided this, okay, so it means there is a board, all of them sit together and decide, right? So when we say internal committee, so these are the people who will do all these activities. Okay, so when we they do the activities duties, they also have few powers which they enjoy, right? So they have two important powers. They have the civil court power, that is to call anybody for any kind of examining inquiry, or they can also discover or reproduce any kind of CCTV footage or documents if it is related to any kind of inquiry. Okay, so they have a civil court power. So that is what we are trying to say. So there is an internal committee which takes care of all the posh related activities in all the organizations. Okay, so there's a small video which talks about their responsibilities. I hope it is audible. It is audible.
What should your organization do to be compliant with Posh Act? Posh Act mandates that every organization that has 10 or more employees must follow 5 steps to stay compliant to the Act. Draft an anti-sexual harassment policy, the policy that is simple and comprehensive. Constitute internal committee, IC. Internal committee that has at least 4 members which will receive and redress sexual harassment complaints. Appoint an external member. Appoint a posh expert in the IC as the external member to provide advice and ensure objectivity in IC proceedings. Sensitize employees about the Posh law. Conduct workshops, seminars, and orientations to ensure proper awareness about the Posh laws and the internal committee among employees. File annual report on Posh compliance. File an annual report to the district officer every calendar year and disclose the organization's Posh compliance in the director's report every financial year. Remember, compliance to Posh Act is mandatory even if your organization does not have a female employee, as the Posh Act applies even to women who visit your office, like female visitors, female interviewees, female housekeeping staff. What happens if your organization is not compliant with the Posh Act? Non-compliance can attract a penalty of 50,000 rupees. Consequences of repeated offense can result in twice the fine and cancellation of business license. The penalty can increase based on the severity of the offense. Did you know that in a sexual harassment case, the High Court of Madras asked an organization in Chennai to pay a hefty amount of 1 crore 68 lakhs to the petitioner for non-constitution of the internal committee and the resultant non-compliance to the Posh Act? Remember, Posh compliance is not only a legal mandate, but also a crucial step towards a safe and respectful workplace.
So that video was just to give you an overall wrap up of whatever we have discussed in terms of organizational responsibility. Okay, so we have tried to do whatever preventive and prohibition methods, right? So in case even after all this, whom to approach, where to approach. So that is what we are going to see. That is the redressal part of it, right? So that is the damage control. So in case if you have a workplace, then the women, that is the woman who has got a complaint, can write a complaint to the internal committee or drop a mail, whatever is the procedure they follow, to the IC committee, and then from there on they take over. Okay? if you don't have an IC committee, as you've already said, we can approach the local committee, or we have a shebox.nic.in. So that is sexual harassment e-box online complaint management system, which is being run by Ministry of Women and Child Development, right? So this is a shebox, very, very active. You can register and give a complaint. It will go to the, it cannot be anonymous. It has to have, details like whatever possible details, like your name, date, rough date, or the last occurred date, the relationship, or against whom you're giving a complaint, whatever description you could give in your own line. And if you have any evidence, it's fine. Otherwise also it's okay, but you need to give all these details. And then what happens is, it goes to the respective local committee, and from there on the inquiry starts from there on. So in case if I have already IC committee, but my complaint is against the employee or the CEO, so I cannot give a complaint in the to the Posh. So in that case, again I can go to the she box. Again it goes to the local committee, and then from there on again the inquiry procedure starts. So I think initially when we talked about the different features, or very what is the distinguished features about the Posh, we spoke about the time frame, right? So what is the time frame within which you can give a complaint? It is like 3 months from the last date of incident, roughly. So even if there can be sometimes another 3 months of extension, in case if the person, the aggrieved woman, is not well, or the person is not in the situation to come and give complaint, or the person itself in the medical situation, in that cases it can still be extended. And in those kind of situation, and even the family members or the colleagues can give a complaint against the situation. Okay, so the 3 months no is a time period within which they have to give a complaint under the Posh, and it is still extended for another 3 months in case the IC members feel it is a genuine time. Okay, and these are the helpline numbers which we again share it to the wherever we go, so that it is very handy. And these are all very active helpline numbers. It is national helpline numbers. I'm sure it is all available in the Google, but just that we are trying to give you a heads up here. Okay, so through this numbers also you can raise your complaint. What is the redressal process? So again, we said there is a time frame. So within which I've got registered the complaint. IC committee has got the time frame of 3 months before which they have to complete the whole inquiry procedure. Okay. So again, so when there is a complaint given, the inquiry procedure starts. The respondent has been given a heads up on the complaint, and then from there is a full-fledged inquiry which happens between the inquiry internal committee and the respondent and the complainant. So the whole process will have to be completed within 3 months, and then the report has to be submitted to the management. Okay. So after receiving the complaint, due investigation happens within the internal committee and the witnesses, and everybody make sure that they do their best to bring the truth outside. So if the complaint is found positive, strict remedial action is being taken against the person within whom the complaint is being given. So what maximum the employer can do is the formal written warnings can be given. Okay, so it doesn't mean that a formal, just a warning letter. Nowadays companies go for a security verification before employing any of the person. So we say the employees that if you have any of the black mark, especially related to SH, then it is going to be a big black mark in their career, right? So please try to avoid all these kind of unnecessary steps which has to be taken against them. Or it depends on the gravity. Sometimes they may be depromoted or suspended. The maximum what the employer could do is the termination. Okay, so people sometimes ask, the gravity is so much and only the termination can happen. From the employer side, that is the maximum they have hold on a particular person, on an employee, right? However, if we go to the court, Okay, if it is the next level of appeal is going to the court. Okay, so the first thing the court will ask, because it happened in a workplace, is this IC committee report. So the IC report is very, very important, which will be the base document for them to from take over from there, right? So any kind of activities happening within the organization related to SH will be reported and will be gone on complete inquiry, and that report will have a say on the next level of from the court. So that is got so much of power. What will not constitute? People misassume. For example, following up for work, or for any kind of emergency, people call you, late night, very rarely. So in those kind of situations, it does not come under SH. You need to know whether it comes under the SH or not, or practical feedback, or a genuine compliment for your maybe you have dressed for an occasion, or you have presented a presentation well, there is a genuine compliment. So those things will not come under workplace harassment. So I'm sure, as I said, we are all adults and we know the intention in the person is speaking to us, so we can differentiate whether it comes under the SH or not. Okay, based on that we can take a call on it. So please do not take any kind of, as I said initially, one or two incidences, don't ignore and assume that that particular person always calls everybody like this only. He calls everybody darling baby. Don't ignore. If you're going to tell him that this is wrong, maybe he will change. If everybody accepts and accepts it and move, ignore it, then nobody will tell him that that is a wrong behavior, right, in a workplace. So it is important that you don't ignore these kind of activities. Please stop and then give a heads up. And it may not happen to us, maybe to your colleagues, but the person is very soft nature, so he or she is not able to talk about it. Give them the positive feeling that you are there with them. Give them the moral support and ask them to give a complaint against it in whatever activity is happening. So being a bystander also, you have a very, very strong responsibility. You don't have to ignore and move on. This same problem which has come to your colleague may come to you or to your team members anytime. So you can also raise a complaint on behalf of your colleague who is suffering from these kind of harassment. So once the internal committee comes to know, they will call the particular person and they will talk. At least they will talk and give them the confidence so that they can raise a complaint. From there on, the inquiry will be taken care of. Okay. This is a small, the last video which is very, very powerful. This is the role of the bystander. Okay. Most of the time we are here, what we do about it is very important. So that was a nice video which I came across recently, because most of the time we all think, okay, this is not for me, okay, and we just ignore and move on. But what we do as a responsible bystander is more important. So this is the last concept which we call it as mutual consent. Sometimes in organization, as we all said, we may think that this is a perfect life partner which I've got. Maybe we assume. Sometimes it clicks, sometimes it doesn't click. But what happens is most of the time, the relationship it starts as a mutual consent, later backfires, right? So we tell them when it comes to workplace, make sure you stick to your professional relationship, or if you're going to go into a personal relationship, you declare it open to the HR or the thing, so that tomorrow, if it even if it backfires, people will know that you both of you were mutually in a relationship, and then it has moved on, the otherwise. So mutual consent is more important in professional relationships. Sometimes it backfires and then it becomes a malicious complaint. What we talk about malicious complaint is the false complaint. See, this is a law which has been very, very favoring for women, which is trying to protect us. But at the same time, some people misuse this, this kind of protective act. So, in case if the malicious complaint has been found by the IC member during the inquiry, then the same punishment what was supposed to be given to the person, to the respondent, if it is proved, will be backfired and given to the person who has raised this malicious complaint. So it is very important that we use this law for the protection and not for pulling somebody's name and fame, right? So I've almost come to my session end. So I'm trying to just give a recap, and then I'll take up the Q&A too. So we try to understand what is sexual harassment. It is more than a physical thing, what forms and all that. We try to demystify the Posh law, that is trying to understand what is workplace, what is working mate, working relationship, who is women under the Posh Act, and what kind of activities, harassment, if things which can be reported. And we also came to know about the IC committee, local committee, that is the committees which is formed exclusively for the protection of Posh Act. How to go about and giving a complaint. You can do it either through a mail or to the she box, or there's a helpline numbers. So these are the ways wherein you can raise your complaint mechanism. And from the organization also, we are trying to understand how they are trying to make the place very inclusive, like having a policy, having awareness sessions, and having a IC committee giving them the full support to carry out their duties and responsibilities. So these are the things which is forming the whole gamut of the Posh Act. However, if we don't have a Posh committee in our employee in the organization, we have a local committee which has got the same duties and responsibilities to take care of the protection of women who's working in the any of the organization. So that is called as local committee, which is driven by the district collector office. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to take it up. Over to you, Bhuvaneshwari, otherwise.
Yes, any questions, friends?
Ma'am,
Yes.
as
Yes, please.
sorry. Yeah. So as I started initially as well, that this is about the act and all, but how do we make women confident to speak up about all of this?
Okay. So as I said, when you will be confident is when you know something about it, right? So you need to spread this awareness. Okay, spread the awareness, saying that these are the helpline numbers. Even if you don't, I understand. Not everybody will have the capacity or will have the luxury of logging into the sheet and all that, right? But they are. I think most of them have the phone number. I mean, a mobile. So you can just give the numbers, give share this information to them, talk to them, have a have a small team, spread this awareness, give simple techniques like give the numbers, call, and then report. you tell them, give them a confidence that the complaint will be taken immediately, and then the actions will be taken. Your name will not come out, but the actions will be taken. That trust will come only when we start talking about it. Okay, the basic thing which me and my the whole team will support is spreading awareness is the basic things. But that is the base thing. Only if I know that this is wrong, then I will do the next step. Okay, if I don't know this is wrong, then I will not take up the next step. You should give them the confidence that the problem will be solved. These helpline numbers are working. Maybe you can if there's any issues, you can do it on behalf of them, raise a complaint, and then system will take care. Then give them the confidence. So if one or two incidences this happen, maybe they will again become a person who can advocate for that. So spreading awareness and giving them confidence is what I feel the first step.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi,
Am I audible?
Yeah, Namrata.
Yeah.
hi.
My
I
question
think
is
it
from
was a
the.
wonderful session. Soumya,
Thank you.
I think you're speaking all right. You go ahead, and then I'll ask one question.
Okay, thank you. My question is from the management's perspective.
Yep.
So we have a case here and we do the investigation. We drop a mail to the person saying what you have done is wrong, and then we fire him. So we need to collect the evidences that we have conducted an investigation at our end. So if
Correct.
nothing works and we are firing the person, should we hand over this case to the district collectors? There is a group, outside group, whichever you mentioned. Should we hand over this case there and then move away from this case?
See, generally, even if you're handed over to the district collectorate office, the incident has happened in our organization, right? So all the witnesses or whatever has happened, only the organization can help them, right? So the proper evidences or the inquiry have to be conducted by the internal committee, and then it has to be submitted to the management. Okay, so local committee will not come under when you have an IC committee. Okay, if you have an IC committee and you have done the inquiry and you have submitted to the management, and your recommendation is to terminate the person, and the management also terminates, okay, so the case ends here. But if the employee feel that I was not given enough a chance to prove my innocence, he can go for appeal to the civil court. Okay, it doesn't go to the local committee. Then the next appeal, again it has got the respondent and the complainant is given 60 days of time to go for the next appeal. They can go to the civil court, and then the court will take over from there. So whatever report you have collected, you can submit to the court, and then from there, the court will take out the inquiry.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Namrata?
Yeah, so in addition to what Soumya just asked, say for example, if the complainer is not happy with the inquiry results, the IC has found that the person is not guilty.
Okay.
Right. So, what would be the next step as a complainer?
The same answer, Namrata. So both the side, even the respondent or the complainant, any of them are not happy with the decision given by the IC committee, they can go to appeal to the civil court. So that is the next level. From there on, it is handed over to the court. From there on, the case will take over.
Okay. And during this time, if, say, for example, if the person is on the notice period, is about to exit, so is it the responsibility of the IC to, hold on the exit of an employee against which we have received a complaint?
See, the notice period and this thing doesn't sync at all. I mean, if we have given the termination, then it is immediate effect. Generally, if we are terminating a person, there is no notice period based on the
No, not. So my question is that the person is not found guilty.
Okay.
We are, the complaint has come and the person is leaving. He's in his notice period or her notice period and is about to leave in a month's time. However, as IC has time of 3 months, and a person has to exit in 1 month because he was already, in his notice period. So in that case, attempts or what can be done by the
Okay.
organization.
So if I understand your question, if the inquiry is still on and the person is going to leave in a month,
Right.
how will we take it over, right?
Right.
Correct. Okay. So the IC committee has got the powers to still, bring the person to be a part of the inquiry. Okay. So if he says, I'm done with this and all that, they can still send a notice because IC committee has got the civil court power to produce any of the person as a witness. So this particular person is a respondent. Though he is not guilty, he needs to cooperate in this particular case. Okay, so the notice will go to him in case even if he gets relieved, or the management can still hold the relieving procedure till the whole inquiry is completed.
All right. Okay. That's answer my question. Thank you.
Ma'am, I have one question. Is there any age limit kind of thing for this Posh Act if someone is going to
There is no
file
upper
complaint?
limit. 18 and above will come under Posh. Below 18 will come under POXO.
Will come under
POXO Act, Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, which is the
okay.
for children.
Okay.
18 and above will be covered under the Posh Act.
Is it just, this act can be anywhere, right? It's not just like a workplace or somewhere, right? Or how is it?
This act is for women only for the workplace. But when we say workplace, it is across India, irrespective of the size of the organizations. But it is only for protection of women for workplace.
Workplace. Okay.
Yes.
Fine.
So Vicky, so has raised a hand. Yeah, please go ahead. You're on a mute.
Yeah.
Mute.
This POSCO Act, what you were telling, can you just give us a guideline regarding that also?
See, that is again a big. It will actually take one whole session, in fact. So this is to give a very simple thing. It is for children or under below 18. It has been covered. So even for colleges, it is both Posh and POXO will cover. Under all schools are supposed to be covered under this act. They need to have similar kind of a system is there. So that itself is a big session. So if you request, then maybe one of our members can conduct a separate POXO session also. We can do that. So that will cover below 18, protection of sexual offences of children.
Thank you.
Well.
So the complaining person should have proper evidence to prove that this act has happened. Otherwise, it doesn't stand.
Soumya, see, most of the cases, if you see, it doesn't come on with witnesses, right? But the internal committee, mostly they are equipped to conduct inquiry, which is not got, which has got a situation where still there is no inquiry. I mean, there is no witnesses, but still we are able to prove it with the circumstances. And the respondent has to prove that it has not happened. Okay, so most of the time we don't go by the witnesses because these kind of cases very rarely we get the witness unless it is like people have taken a screenshot or there is a CCTV evidence and all that. But sometimes it doesn't happen. So in that case, the respondent has to prove that this has not happened. Most of we don't insist on the evidence. If it is there, well and good. Otherwise, the IC members are equipped to conduct the inquiry and get things sorted.
Okay, thank you.
What if the IC doesn't have, lot of evidence to prove the person is guilty?
Okay.
In that case, what will be the report an IC can submit?
So the IC members mostly, they will try to prove what is the whatever the complaint has come. They try to prove their best. If they don't, sometimes it also happens. In that case, the same thing is being mentioned in the report and submitted to the management, with which the management takes a call. So most of the cases it has been resolved. But there are cases where we are not able to come to a conclusion. So in that case, the management is being given that the guilt is not being proven. In that case, we call the respondent and the complainant, explain the situation, and then they sorted. So without the prove, without the guilt is proved, also we cannot punish somebody who has not done the mistake, or we are not being able to prove. So in that case, the management is being given the same as the report. Very rarely, though.
And what about in case if the person is found guilty? So what kind of a punishment from the organization point of view are common, or is it like a termination?
Okay. So I think I covered that bit, but I am okay to repeat it. So see, generally it is not every time the termination. It depends on the gravity of the mistake. It can be a warning letter, it can be a depromotion or holding promotion, or it can be a suspension based on the gravity again. And sometimes if it is physical, or it is the gravity is more, the termination is the last thing, because that is the maximum power the employer has got on hold of any of the employee, right? So these are the various steps they can take. Mostly it comes under the first or the two, the warning letter and the suspension.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah.
Ma'am, actually, how this Posh Act protects the people working in agricultural land in state, right? Does this also cover them?
Actually, they are also covered. We call it as unorganized sector. As I said, local committee is there. But the problem here is they are not aware of these things, right? So again, awareness is very important. That is again, we are coming to the same key point. So in fact, we are trying to target garment industry, where a lot of these kind of situations happen very, very casually, and people don't even realize that this is a part of SH, and they just accept and move on, right? So that is where we all, as a on a as a wiki or any other council members, we are all given this responsibility to spread these kind of awareness. So we need to talk about it. They need to know. They need to know somebody as a representative. Maybe if something happens, please talk to them, and on behalf of them, that particular person can raise a complaint or do something about it, right? Because first they should know. For everything, they can't go to the police. So that is why these are the other avenues where is being established by the lawmakers. So we will have to spread the awareness, and the local committee is there to govern all these informal sectors.
Yes, ma'am. Our president Shika Arora is also here. So Shika, this one, I think we should note down this some project for us to work
Yes,
also work.
yes, sure. So, for whosoever was inquiring about the POXO is we're trying to make it happen in the month of June. So we get in touch with you
Great.
internally, or we also have other.
Sure. My team is always there.
Thank you. So I think anybody else has questions?
Any questions, friends?
All right.
And it was a very nice session.
Ma'am,
Yeah, Revati, please.
the time limit has gone by. Actually, for some of us, we are also housewives. So basically, we don't come under any Posh Act and other things. Generally, for any women, from anyone who's an average woman in this country, what would be your basic guidelines so that we start whatever we want to take away something from you and do it from day one? So I'm a part of WLIC, but still as a basic normal person, what is my takeaway from this? Like, can you please guide on that one?
Sure. So if you ask me as a woman, first of all, be bold. Okay, be bold and face it. If something comes up, face it. Don't ignore and move on. Okay. So for example, in the community where I live, no, I just go for just a normal walking. And if somebody is bullying somebody, even with the kids, I go and intervene. That may not be my kid, right? But I go and intervene. Okay. So don't ignore and move on. If you see something happening is wrong, okay, as a role of bystander, we saw a video, right? So you're seeing somebody, a small a girl child, and somebody is being bullying her. It may not be your known child, or you don't know anybody, but still go, just stand there and keep staring. You don't even have to talk. So once you start observing, the person who's making mistakes will know that okay, somebody's watching. The person will move on, right? So that is the first thing. Be bold. Don't ignore if you see in front of your eyes, and start talking this about about these kind of things to your kids wherever possible. You don't need to be very obvious, but you can start talking. The problem with our our thing is the stint, talking about this. Okay, what will people will think? It's okay. Okay, if you can talk and spread this kind of awareness to your kids and your friends and your community, 5 10 people, and then they spread the, it is like a wrinkle. Put it water, if you put a stone, it'll create wrinkles, right? So like that, if you start talking about this, then it will reach somewhere, somebody, and then it will be useful. So I'm sure if 20 of you have attended, at least if you could talk this to 2 3 people, it means I have spoken to 40 people, and then the 40 people talk to 2 people, then it means I've touched 80 people, right? So that is the sense of thing which I wanted you to talk. First is be bold, talk about it, don't ignore anything which you see in front of your eyes directly.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janani. I request Shika to take over.
Thank you, Bhuvneshwari. So thank you, Janani, so much for this beautiful session. It was very thought-provoking. I'm sure most of us have learned a lot of things from what we should have learned before. So this the question that Revati asked was that as a housewife, if you're not covered under the Posh Act, so what can be done? So the first thing, if you are a citizen of India, and the first thing that you should approach is a police station. So there are women police stations specifically meant for women. At least you can approach there. If not, whatsoever is the nearest police station, please go get a complaint. Now complaint can also be of different forms depending on what kind of act has been performed. If it is a very normal act, say somebody's winking at you and you may be ringing your doorbell and bothering you, you can just go to the police station, say this is my complaint. They will call the person, they'll take your complaint and not file an FIR. Okay, and just an application. If you do it, they will call the person. If you do it again, we are going to take the action for you. Second, if the act is not that lenient, it is something like these days we have heard of people at the video. If you remember, the first video that Janani showed was the last part was the person. I think it was a contractor and the female, right? So that is the place where those kind of places, even just rapes just happen like this. It is a sexual it is not even harassment, it is a rape. So in that case also, to the gravity of that extent also, we can go to a police station. In this case, it is 24 hours that you need to file a complaint, because that the sexual fluid remains in the female's body. So within those 24 hours we need to launch a complaint, and then accordingly we can file a charge sheet and go to the court. So as Janani said, this comes under the Indian Penal Code, which is the core criminal code of India. And from there, the court will take over, and you might have to fight for a few years. I'm sure um, this is the fact of Indian jurisdiction. So yeah, this is to it, and the session was very beautiful. Thank you, Janani, again, and your team. You have very good support. I kept looking on people responding and saying. So yeah, the last video that you showed was I really liked it. I was very happy to see that video. So here in India also, a few years back, we had Ghanti Bajao Andolan, wherein if you see somebody, so that is Ghanti Bajao. And also there was an advertisement on the TV. uh, it showed if somebody is looking at you, right? So you kind of show that person a mirror. See what are you doing, dekho kya kar raha hai. That was the code, right? And it is a very big topic, but you just covered it in a very nutshell, very crisp. So it has to be discussed maybe in another 1 or 2 more sessions. So I think this IPC 354 ABCD we can discuss the kind of punishments. It's a minimum 3 years of punishment if the person is found guilty. And there are other things also, we can discuss it maybe in any other session. So thank you, Janani and the team, and thank you the participants for being there. And Vicky, we are planning the next plan is to cover the Domestic Violence Act, followed by the Children Abuse Act, and that's it. We'll be there. Let's pledge to hold it for everyone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bhuneshwari and team. And my team members are here to support me. Thank you so much. Wiki team rocks. Over to you, Boo. Thank you.
Once again, thanks from my side to all the participants. Special thanks to Janani.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. See you. Bye. Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Have a nice weekend. Thank you all.
Thank you.
for being
Thank you,
in the
everyone.
audience.